Hi, I'm Jessie Heron, host of Rediscover Your Story, a podcast for marketers who need a break from everyday learning, but still want to hear from like-minded professionals on all things creative. Today, we have Kendra Ramirez here to talk to us about all AI tools. Actually, let's just see what an AI tool thinks about Kendra. Her intelligence isn't artificial. And with that, let's rediscover her story. Kendra, I can't thank you enough to, come here, be with me on the podcast, rediscover your story. I'm so excited you're here.
Oh, I couldn't wait. This morning, I was just thinking about all the times and all the memories. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to do this. So when I text you, squeal, I really meant it.
Yeah, I know. Well, we weren't going to do the math of how long we've known each other, but we've known each other quite a while, quite a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I think same thing. I was kind of thinking about some of our memories and we won't get into all the details because some of those details are not for these audiences.
No, that's a different podcast.
But I was thinking we actually would get together once a month, really, for the longest time. We saw each other monthly, had lots of friend groups that we would get together. One time we were in, was it Louisville? We were Louisville, whatever you say. Yeah. And I don't remember why we went there, but we had maybe a concert. I don't remember. Do you remember walking around? It was my first time being at 4th Street Live.
I was just going to say, the only part I remember is 4th Street Live. So yeah, I don't remember why we were there.
I don't either. I think maybe I was recently 21 or.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. I know. So we have history.
Yes.
But what I think is so fascinating about sort of our lives is that we've kind of been a little parallel, both jumping into digital, both jumping into technology. So I want to hear about your kind of leap into technology and where that kind of all started and that passion for you.
Yeah. Yeah, gosh, I would say my love for technology started in college because school was not easy for me. I'm not someone that can read a book and understand what the heck I'm reading. I have to get my hands on it, more of a kinetic learner. And that's the only way you can read and understand technology is to touch it and play with it and break stuff. And so I started just self-taught different classes that I had in college. And I'm like, ooh, I love this. And I was figuring things out for my family growing up. And I just always had a knack for it. And so my first job out of college, I was an IT recruiter. And so I got to hear and learn all kinds of different aspects of IT.
I feel like there was a lot of you that worked together that kind of hung together, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, the whole big group of us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was a fantastic experience. And because we all kind of grew up, that was all our first, experience. And so I learned so much from that. So from IT recruiting to IT sales and doing data center and disaster recovery and network architecture and security and literally living inside of a data center, I was totally geeking out about it. And so it was really funny when I started as a sales manager for a Fortune 500 company and just using tools that existed back then, and LinkedIn was one of those tools. And so I've been doing LinkedIn for 18 years, I believe. And back then, my peers across the country were like, how are you doing this? And why is your team striving? And I'm like, well, here's some tools that we're using. I think it was Manta and Jigsaw also back then.
Wow.
And so that really got me thinking. I'm like, I think I'm onto something. I think this is something that others need to know about.
Yep.
And I was getting calls of, oh, by the way, can you help me figure this out? And I'll pay you. And I was like, light bulb. And so I'm like, I think I could turn this into a business, and took my business plan to 3 different business coaches. And all 3 of them told me, oh, well, that's a fad. I don't think you should do it.
They said it was a fad?
Yes. Because this was 18 years ago, right? Digital was just in its infancy. And so yeah, all 3 of them said, I don't think you should do this. It doesn't really make sense. And I'm like, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, girl. I mean, come on,
yeah.
right? Do you feel too, I don't know, you were younger, that was 18 years ago, right? So you're young, you're a woman, you have a business plan, you have a mission, right? A vision, a goal, and you wanted to do it about technology and they turned you down.
Yeah. So
look at me now.
Exactly.
Hello.
But really, and I'm actually glad that happened because now I get to stand on stages and explain hey, if there's something that you want to do and it's in every fiber of your being and you love doing it, do it anyway. You're going to hear a bunch of people say no, but what I've learned is it's their own fear. right? So those 3 people that told me no, it was their own fear of technology. It wasn't that it was a fad. It was their own fear.
Right. It wasn't that it wasn't it was a bad idea or anything like that. It was just.
It was their own limiting beliefs.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So then how long did it take you? I love these kind of like origin entrepreneurial, like, start stories. How long did it kind of take you from knowing this is what you wanted to do to things like actually happening? Normally there's like a thing that just happened for you, right?
Well, I was really like just thrusted into it because I was right out of a divorce, and what a perfect time to start a business, right?
Whatever.
And it was good because it kept me, busy and not thinking about what was going on. And I had, great friends surrounding me, and I just listened to the needs, right? So people would come to my little LinkedIn sessions. And then what I was learning is they wouldn't know how to actually add a strategy to it. It was just all about learning about a tool. So then that added layers for me of more ahas of, wait a minute, this isn't enough. This isn't going to be enough to sustain what they're trying to accomplish. And so I just kept adding in other things. But my first start was just doing LinkedIn training, which, by the way, was dumb in regards from a business standpoint of just doing that. Yes, it was project profitable, but I was constantly on the hamster wheel of sell, deliver, and that was a mistake. So I tell other entrepreneurs all the time, I'm like, get your retainer models and monthly reoccurring as quickly as possible.
Right.
So I learned a lot in those early days, and then just listening to client needs. What do they need? And then, so things happened very quickly. And so that was going on a couple of years. And then, of course, 08, 09 hit. And I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Because guess what's the first to go? Training and marketing. And I was in both.
Right.
And so I ended up having to close the business for a little while and work for other people, still doing digital, but doing it underneath their umbrella, which is fine, no big deal. And I'm glad I had that soft landing. And so then after that, I restarted the business, I don't know, 9 years ago now, I think, 8 or 9 years ago, and restarted it completely differently. So I got to reinvent it again. And I'm always doing that.
I was going to say that kind of actually probably helped you to kind of take that pause, rethink your strategy, rethink your business plan. Like you said before, you were kind of like project deliver.
Yeah.
Think more about what's that retainer model. Yeah. And kind of restart it. And things have been going, the last 9 years seem to be pretty good.
Very good. Very good. Like I was really fearful of starting the business again because I was like, you idiot, you had no business doing this, because like that inner voice, right? Your inner critic gets really loud.
What does Lauren call it? Your inner opponent.
Yes. Yeah. And Lauren's so good at that. Yeah. So good at that. But yeah, my inner critic was really loud and like, you have no business doing this. You didn't do it right the first time. And so I literally just said a little prayer. I'm like, hey, God, you got to be really loud about this. It can't be a whisper. I need a billboard. I need to know this is where you want me to go. And I am not kidding, Jesse. An hour after that prayer, I landed my first client. And it was someone I didn't know.
Crazy.
Got a call out of the blue. The guy called me and is like, hey, I got your name from someone that you might be able to help us with our digital marketing plan and help us strategy and implementation. And I'm like, yes, Leroy, absolutely, we can help. And I got him a proposal and he signed and he was with me for several years. And later on, I found out, like, I shared with him, I'm like, I just want you to know, like, you were my first, like, back out. And he, too, is also, like, faith-based. And he was just like, I just think it's really cool that happened.
And the fact that, like, I don't know if you feel this way, but I love when people comment to me and they're like, hey, I do not know how to figure this out. Can you help me with like a digital marketing plan, a content plan? I'm literally, I'm like,
yes. Roll up your sleeves. Yes.
I'm like, give me all your mess. Because I think you think this way too, but like it just becomes so crystal clear when I see all the pieces, almost to the point where I'm like, how did you not see these pieces?
Yes.
Like these puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
They're all right here. You just gotta shake this up a little bit, move this one around, turn it, pull it back together. Don't glue it because you're gonna want to change it soon.
Right.
But done.
Yeah.
Done for now.
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, the way I describe it is it literally leaps off the page at me, right?
Yes.
Like when someone says, well, could you take a look at our website? And I'm like, oh God, here, this, and this needs to be, fixed. And I just ask a lot of questions.
That's the key. Ask a lot of questions. And I do think that there has to be a little bit of like, I don't know, confidence might not be the right word, but just that honesty to be able to tell someone directly that your baby is ugly.
Yes, I use that exact same word.
It's ugly.
Like, your baby's ugly. Yes.
It's ugly. Like, I know you put a lot of time, sweat, tears into this. There's pieces we can save.
Yeah.
But it's ugly.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Well, and two, like, even on the flip side of that, even when they've done something amazing, I will say, you know what? You don't need me. Like, you have a great foundation. And so that's the other thing. Like, when I share that with people, they're like, well, it sounds like you don't want to work with us. I'm like, that's not it at all. I'm just saying, I'm validating what you're doing, and you're doing a great job. And there's really nothing else that I can, add to this, or, referring them to someone, right? I'm like, hey, that's outside of my, circle of influence of what we're doing here, and you should call so-and-so, right?
Yeah.
So,
but that takes confidence.
Yeah.
That takes maturity too. Because I think that when you are like, I don't know, you just know who you are, you know what your company can do, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses. I think that that's really interesting, because there's some places out there, I'm not going to say.
Yeah, we won't do that to them.
Name, but they just take everything and then they try to figure it out. And I think that there's, okay, fine, try that. But I would rather just be like, you know what? That doesn't fit in our wheelhouse. That's not our lane.
Agreed.
Go here. Go figure that out. And if you want to come back, and we'll help you when you get that figured out.
Yeah. Totally agree.
I just feel like there's so many opportunities out there in the world, not just Cincinnati, because we are Cincinnati based.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunities in Cincinnati, but I think when you broaden even beyond our little region, there's so many opportunities to help people.
Yeah, well, we have the whole world to serve, right? I mean, that's the beauty in what we do. I don't need to be next door to you. And so that's what's so fun. And my whole team is remote. We've been remote for 18 years.
Yeah.
And so we get to show up and serve people on a daily basis. And back to like what you're talking about, I love to problem solve. So like, throw me in a room. If I can problem solve all day, like that's where like I love.
So what is like, I mean, where's your love? Is it like figuring out the problems? Is it speaking? I mean, I just feel like you're one of those people that wake up every day like, let's go.
I do. Yeah, there's just so many things that like light me up, right? So yeah, I do, the strategy work, the problem solving. I don't do the execution anymore. I haven't done the execution in a long time, but that's, I'm so lucky to be surrounded by an amazing team to do that. So it frees me up to do all the speaking that I do. And that lights me up. I live for the light bulb moment, when you're working with someone or you're doing a speaking event and they're like, oh, I get it now. I'm like, yes. Yeah. Between the speaking and doing the, digital, lead, and then the AI pieces that we've added in as well. I'm like following the dopamine, right? Like,
yes. Yes. Well, like either you're glutton for punishment or...
Yes. Totally.
Yeah. Because there's a lot. I mean, I think that when you follow the digital path, right? I think, again, both of us, it's been really fun to watch.
Yes.
I have to say one thing about that. Like, there's so many women in the industry that are awesome. Awesome. I think you have helped lead that pack, because it's really hard. I think, you talk to women and they're fearful that you're going to be stomped on when they go past you. Yeah. And I just have always been a true believer of lifting and climbing at the same time. And I think you are too.
Yes.
I know you are too, actually. And so thank you for doing that, I think, in our industry, which is fantastic. But I do find it funny that like, it is like that next thing. You don't forget about all the other services. I started in print, right?
Yes, I remember.
Same, yeah. And then you kind of just keep going, like print to digital, and you just keep taking on that next step. I'm now in video, right? So it's all the next things. And I think the same thing about you. And I cannot wait to dive into AI with you. Like, cannot wait. I can't wait to hear all the things. Yeah.
Back to problem solving, right? And figuring out the efficiencies. Like, how can we do it better and faster? And how can we help these businesses grow? And so really that's always been my mission is, how can we, back to lifting, right? How can we just lift all of these people and their team members? And because something that was really on my heart from a mission standpoint, especially with AI, is we have to, as leaders, reskill and upskill people. We have to get them ready because, over the next 5 years, 300 million people are going to be impacted. And I feel exactly how I felt about digital, 18 years ago is exactly how I feel about AI now. Because 18 years ago, people are looking at me like I had 3 eyeballs, right? When I was talking about it, and I'm getting the same backlash, as well. I'm like, okay, we can either get on the train that has already left the station, or we can stick our head in the, sand. Which would you prefer to do? And so just bringing people up to speed, on that, and doing it in a very simplified way. Like, I don't talk tech and go over people, and making it very simple for people to understand it, how they can apply it, and apply it today. It's not a 6-month implementation process.
Specifically with AI, people are afraid. They are so afraid to lean in. And I want to say to them, have you heard of Alexa before? You've been doing, you've been using AI for a long time. I just look at my parents, right?
Yes.
My dad had me come over to set up his Arlo system and his Alexa and his vacuum cleaner, and it all works now from his Alexa device. And it's like, I had to remind him, Dad, this is AI. Well, what do you mean? I'm not doing anything with AI. I'm like, this right here is AI, and I even look at my kids. They're growing up by telling Alexa to add yogurt to the shopping list.
Right.
They have no concept of writing out a shopping list.
No.
They have no concept of that at all, right?
Yes.
Anybody who's telling their devices to do something, even Siri, you're using AI. So you cannot tell me you're afraid.
Yes. Well, and that's what I just literally led a webinar this morning for leaders, and I was explaining that, because I was asking everyone, like, okay, show of hands of who's, using AI already. Well, a couple of them, like, well, what tools? And we went over a couple of tools. And I'm like, well, anyone in here using Amazon? They're like, oh, hands started going up. Anyone in here using Netflix? Oh, hands started going up. I'm like, hey, you're already using it.
Yes, exactly. Boom, got them.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But what was interesting is leaders, because I really talk about mindset as well, and understanding the fear underneath it. And what they were saying was they felt guilty using it. Guilt. So I was like, well, tell me more, right? Tell me more. What do you mean? Well, because it was so easy to write that grant for, money, and by using ChatGPT. I'm like, okay, well, if I said that using a calculator is cheating, what would you say to that? She's like, oh, well, that wouldn't be cheating. I go, what's the difference? And so you should have seen the look on her face. She goes, you're so right. Why am I worried about this? She's like, it's just efficiencies.
We've been trying to think of like a name for ChatGPT. I feel like I should call it something. I want to call her for some reason, but
whatever works.
I don't know.
Yeah, you could totally do that.
Maybe call her Barbie, since that's something that everyone's talking about right now.
Right.
Hey, Barbie.
It was
Write
so
me
good.
a recommendation letter.
Yes. Yeah. Write it in the tone of Barbie.
Yeah, right. Write it in the, oh my gosh, that's actually amazing. Yeah. And I was telling even someone else, they were saying that they were having some problems with like answering their boss on something. I'm like, put it in ChatGPT. See what that says.
Exactly.
It's just so easy.
Yeah. It's your assistant, right? So you should totally name your assistant, right? You're like, okay, yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I know.
Yeah. I love it.
We'll do a poll around the office. See what we'll call her. So what are you, again, I think in this industry, I think people have that fear. There's the fear again. Some people are saying like, oh, well, AI is going to take my job. I just want to like myth bust right now.
Yeah.
That AI is going to take my job. And I'm using it across the board.
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. So I think, and I hear the concern, right? But the fact, especially when reports come out that 300 million jobs are going to be impacted. And it's just like what happened with digital 18 years ago. There were jobs that were impacted, but there were new jobs, right? So with AI, there's going to be a whole new set of jobs. And what I love, if you go to Fiverr right now, you can go hire a Mid-Journey expert. You can hire a ChatGPT fact checker. You can hire, like, these are things we never even had months ago. Months ago, not years ago, like months ago.
Sure, yeah.
And so there's a whole new set of jobs. And the way I look at it is the integration of human and machine. So I always use the example of my husband's in commercial construction. He runs a Bobcat at work. And so the Bobcat by itself is great, and my husband by himself is great. But man, when you have human machine together, it's efficient. It does a great job. What would be better in digging a hole, the Bobcat or a shovel? right? And that's really what we're talking about. And so being able just to have a curiosity about it, and it's change, so it's triggering to people. Anytime you're experiencing any change, it can be triggering of, oh gosh, what are we going to do? And
it's fast change.
So fast.
Yes.
So fast. I mean, we're coming out with 1,000 tools per week right now. And so back to what we've experienced from a marketing standpoint. So just 12 years ago, we had 150 tools in marketing. We have over 25,000 tools in marketing today. And then AI, we have 1,000 per week. So like this year, we'll have 52,000 tools in a year. That's the
just
speed.
for AI.
Yes, just
Wow.
for AI. So that gives you like 12 years versus 1 year, how fast these tools are coming out. Being able to figure it out and just be curious. I'm not asking everyone to jump in the deep end, but just come at it from a curiosity standpoint. Take something that's a repetitive task that you're doing and say, hey, how could AI help me with this? And free up our time. There's not one person that I'm talking to right now that's like, oh yeah, I got all the time in the world in my work, right? Or there's not one company that I'm talking to like, oh yeah, we're fully staffed. Everyone's burnout, everyone's overwhelmed. And so again, treating AI as that assistant, I can get more work done. So some examples, some super low-hanging fruit examples in a project management team that we did AI strategy and facilitation. One team, we're saving 1,400 hours a month using AI at $175 an hour from an FTE rate,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Per month. And that was just one team.
Steve, you want to get the calculator out? Get your little AI calculator out
Right,
and do
so-
the math on that?
So that's just one team of time savings. And what I was explaining to this team is the mental load of that, right? When we have tasks that we don't want to do in regards to, and this was an IT team, and they're like, I have to document all my code. I have to write up a recap to my teams and clients about what we covered in our next steps. I'm like, okay, let's look at using ChatGPT or using a tool like Otter to transcribe what we're doing. And to be able to summarize things and invite it into the meeting. It transcribes the whole meeting and sends the meeting back out to everyone. It was the mental load. You should have seen the team were just like, you could see their shoulders like breathe. And so one of the guys sent me a note later that day. He goes, I want you to know from our time this morning, I've already knocked out 4 tasks that I've been sitting on my desk because I didn't want to do them because it was just like menial tasks.
Yeah.
And so there's mental load there. And I don't think we talk about enough of that. And so he's just like, I feel like renewed to be able to conquer things that I need to take care of. And so I was like, yes,
That's
like
amazing.
That's
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I've had the chance to do that, with over a dozen companies of really being able to do like the AI strategy and facilitation and how are we implementing it from a team standpoint. And it's just so fun to watch because now that team shared with the other teams and then the ripple effect of it. So like it's just exciting to watch it unfold.
It is such an efficiency gain. You gain so much efficiency. I will say though, one thing I feel like I get swirled up in is which tools to use.
Yes.
Right? And then by the time you get through your journey of onboarding with the tool, you're not sure. Then another, so like you said, right?
Yes.
Another one comes out. So it's almost impossible to let your brain allow you to think almost like the grass is greener or have FOMO over there.
Oh, serious FOMO.
Serious FOMO.
Yes.
You almost have to commit to something, at least try it, right? I'm not saying you have to do it forever, but if some of them cost money, right? Some are free, right? So, I mean, what are some of the top tools that you're kind of seeing as these are great tools for marketing. These are great tools for sales or whatever.
Yeah, and I agree. I have the same, FOMO of ooh, I want another tool. So literally I have tried almost 100 tools today.
Today.
To date.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
So
I was
100
today,
tools from
damn, girl.
yeah, to date.
Yes.
From I would say, end of November to today from a, AI perspective. And it's so many different aspects. Like you were saying, there's, hundreds of marketing tools and sales tools and you name it.
Yeah.
And they're all splinters of ChatGPT. That's usually the foundation of it. But Some of my favorite go-to is Tango. Tango is for process documentation, and it will follow everywhere. Like if you're trying to send someone a how-to or send someone a description of, go and click the gear and right-click here and click on this name, whatever. Instead of you screen grab, write what it is, screen grab, write what it is, hours later, you have to, submit it. Tango will do it automatically. So it screen grabs and writes what you did automatically. So I can write that process documentation in minutes versus hours. So it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, Tango.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
What are your other favorites?
Kendra's
favorite tools.
Yes,
okay.
and I wrote a whole blog post on my Kendra's favorite tools. But yeah, Canva and their AI tools, I was so impressed with it because they came out with 10 all at once. And the fact that you can go in and write like a PowerPoint presentation. And so I gave it an outline of here's the things I want to cover. And it gave the imagery and the layout and some wording and gave me an 8-page template for me to be able to repurpose.
That could save days.
Yes.
That's not hours, that's days.
Yeah.
We actually, to just like bounce on the Canva train, we have a client who this is going to sound kind of fun and crazy at the same time, because it is. They were wanting us to create a custom puppet. And so we would bring the puppet into the video to interact with certain people. And there's custom puppet makers. So we reached out to one and they were like, do you have a design? And we're like, so we went to Canva. And then within like an hour, we had designs that we could share with both the client to just kind of get some like head nods and then share with the puppet maker.
Yes.
So that saved us weeks.
Yes.
That's a week to 2 weeks of design. Now, am I saying that we're eliminating designers?
No. Yeah.
We're just idea generating. We're just getting the client to nod their head so that we can quickly get to, okay, out of these 6, which one was your favorite? Then we'll actually design that puppet.
And I'm so glad you said that too, because I get a lot of concerns with that. And at the end of the day, it's just getting you off start, right? So maybe we just need something for people to react to, right? Because a lot of people are visual; they need something to react to, and then the designer's going to make it so much better.
Yes.
But this is just for someone to react to something and to just get our thought process going from a creativity standpoint when we're just stuck. Because sometimes looking at a blank piece of paper, like, I don't know how to, address this or come up with this. But being able to have the actual expert mold it and take it and grow it into what it's going to, be. It's a good first start.
I think it eliminates meetings.
That's the first start. Yes, totally.
Because in some cases, like if you're a solopreneur or you work by yourself in a in a company, then you don't have anyone to bounce ideas off of. You have to create a meeting, and then everyone gets together to share your idea. Then everyone collaborates, and then you kind of go off and create it, right?
Yeah.
I'm the only person in this company doing what I'm doing. So if I want to create a unique proposal or take someone's awesome ideas from the creative side of our business and then try to communicate that to the client, I'm the only one doing that role. It's hard. If I didn't have Barbie, aka ChatGPT, to help me, then I would just be like, is this the right way to say it? Is there a better way to say it? Right?
Yeah, because no one overthinks, right? No one overthinks, right?
Right, exactly. But I do think I think it eliminates meetings.
It really does.
And raise your hand if you like to get rid of meetings.
Exactly.
Right? Here.
Yes. Yeah. Meetings about the meetings,
exactly.
Right?
Yes. Unnecessary meetings. Sorry.
Yes, exactly.
Some are great.
Yeah. But no, it does. It just gets that ball rolling so much quicker, right? And allowing and giving something for people to react to. So yeah, I agree.
Okay, so those are 2. Any other of your favorites?
Oh my goodness.
Actually, I did see your blog post too.
Yeah. Dolly, which is owned by OpenAI as well, is an image creator. So similar to all of my stuff that I do in my e-newsletter, it comes out of Dolly, and it's just fun. Just like today in preparation for upcoming e-newsletter, I went in and I was like, a friendly robot wearing glasses, and he looks like he's studying a book. And I just, text the image. That's what I said. And I got the cutest image. So it's going to come out tomorrow and I can't wait because it's super cute.
That's amazing.
So like, I get to have fun like that and I get to be creative in a different way because I am not a designer, nor do I, plan to be because it's just so incredible. So again, it just gave me just something to quick start, right? Like coming up with something. So Dolly, Canva, Tome is another really good one for presentations. And like just any opportunity where you're like video creation and in regards to taking, say, like a YouTube video and then slicing it up into little sound bites. Video does a great job. Lumiere does a good job of taking those long videos and turning into little snippets for social media or something like that.
Yeah. I think there was, Steve, what was the one that we talked about for our podcast?
We talked about Writer.
Writer.
Yes, that was the other one we talked about was Writer.
Yes.
So Writer's one where we've talked about like using it so to help make it quicker for us to implement from, recording the podcast to getting it out a little bit quicker, and trying to like save some of those creative hours for client work versus our non-billable just podcast work. Yeah.
And Descript also is really good for that podcast piece. Descript will take and transcribe everything that we're saying. And, Writer does, as well. There's so many tools. So you just have to play around with them and see which one, feels easiest to use for you. But yeah, Descript is a great one for podcasts as well.
Yeah. I know there are so many.
Yeah.
There are so many. And I think too, one of my favorite things, you and I were both at the social media show and tell. And I think getting people together, like I love that you're going out and you're doing trainings and you're having speaking presentations, but getting our digital marketing, our marketing community together to kind of like demystify some of these like fears and myths about, about these different tools, I think is a great way for us to help each other. I mean, we're all in the same boat.
Yes.
Some of us are more advanced, more than others, right? Because you've gotten to play with them since November, which was not that long ago.
No.
By the way.
No,
when
not
you
at
said
all.
that, I was like, well, that wasn't a long time ago.
No.
It wasn't like 2 years ago or anything. And then, just to help us, everybody could just jump in and collaborate and just kind of share, what's working best, what's not working, I just think it's great.
Yeah, I love the collective wisdom. So anytime I do, just like the morning session with the leaders, I ask them, what tools are you using? What use cases are you seeing in your business? Because it's collective wisdom. And anyone that's like, oh, I'm an AI expert, run. Because how are you an expert? How can you be an expert and have that much depth? Now, yes, there are people that are literally like machine learning engineers, right? And automation engineers and do the depth and technical pieces. So yes, those people are experts but it takes the collective wisdom and being able to share and learn and grow from each other, I think is so, so powerful. I was just at the Ohio Forum yesterday for AI, and they were sharing, several things that are being implemented from an Ohio, standpoint, which is so cool to be able to, watch. And so I love that we're trying to lead, that charge. Because, Midwest always like, oh, Midwest, you're behind. I'm like, no, we're not.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
We're good. We're good here. We're good. What about like small business versus large business? I feel like small businesses get to implement a lot quicker, a lot faster because there's not a lot of that red tape.
Agreed.
Are you seeing implementation of AI in larger businesses as well? Yeah.
Oh, definitely. So yesterday, a very large bank here in Cincinnati shared that they've been using it to help approve loans because before they were finding loan approval weren't happening for a variety of reasons, and they built their own AI system inside of their bank that sits on top of it to really evaluate further than beyond an application and understanding the holdback that was happening where they were denied originally and then did receive the loan. And they said that the bottom line impact to the bank was massive. A large healthcare system here in Cincinnati also shared that they're using it to help pre-diagnose children that are struggling with anxiety and depression because they have the data. And so like, that's so exciting, so exciting. So yes, large organizations are absolutely, I mean, Forbes was using AI to write articles in 2018. So like, this has been going on for a very long time.
Yeah.
So this is not new.
It's not.
I mean, the earliest successful AI program where it learned to play chess was in 1950s.
Really?
So AI is not just like last year.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And then Alan
It's
Turing.
just been the surge of the tools that kind of came last year. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Alan Turing is the one that came up with the term artificial intelligence in the 1930s. So yeah, this is not new, but yes, we're seeing large enterprise, be able to roll out what they're doing from an AI standpoint, but you're absolutely right. And where our sweet spot is in that small to mid, because we can do it and quickly. And so being able to not have, 40 people approve it and 6 months later it gets approved, because right now the pace of AI, if it got approved 6 months later, there would be totally different tools available.
Right. You'd have to redo your entire program.
Totally.
Well, let's redo the proposal now.
Yes, exactly. You would. You really would.
Yeah. And then I also think too, the adoption rate's probably much quicker on a smaller to the mid-sized company, right? So you can take what you've learned and then you can implement much quicker, much faster, and just kind of adopt those processes and be off and running.
Yes. Well, just like, the session we did in the morning, and the guy told me I knocked out 4 things that afternoon, right? So these are easy things. And so the adoption is really interesting though, because I don't know if you read about the report with ChatGPT, over 200 million users, but only 14% of people are actually using it.
So people just like logged on to be
they
like,
logged on,
here,
signed up, kind of like Threads, right? Everybody logged. Oh my gosh, like everyone's like, 100 million users, and it's insane. I'm like, okay, first of all, they already had a built-in Instagram accounts, right? So it's already built in, but now the usage rate is like plummeted.
I haven't used it.
But with ChatGPT, I think is it fear-based, or they're trying to use it at like search, right? They're going in and trying to search something like that. That's not what it's used for.
Go to Google.
Yeah, right.
Go back.
Yeah.
You were on the right platform
Exactly,
before.
Exactly. And so I think they do like 1 or 2 prompts, and they do like these really generic prompts, and like, oh, well, it didn't do anything for me. I'm like, well, we have to give it context. We have to explain, like, who are you trying to talk to, and what about them? What are their behaviors, and get really specific about what you want. And the better the input, the better the output. So.
Yeah. Well, because how many times have you put something into ChatGPT and then you're like, that's good, but I need more, or can you not be as wordy, or whatever.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Again, it's just a starting point. It's just a jump off point. I mean, so many times it doesn't know my personality.
Yes.
It doesn't know our company's personality. So we still have to infuse that, which is not hard. It's just a starting point.
Well, and just last week, so talking about adding personality, ChatGPT added a plugin for custom instruction that can set on top of it now, and you give it how you want it to write for you.
Oh, nice.
So that just started. And that's really exciting, because now you don't have to re-prompt it every time to write it in your tone. And so you can do that now.
Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Let's go figure this out, right? Like,
so I'm super excited that they rolled that out.
Oh my God, that's super exciting. So what do you think is, right, so we've got 52,000 tools coming out this year. So what do you think about in the next 5 years? Like, I know you probably can't even predict. But
if I could, I'd be a billionaire.
Yeah, if you could, you'd be a billionaire. But what I want to know is, what happens to Kendra in 5 years? Where are you going to be? What are you going to be doing? And what's going to still like drive you?
Yeah. Who knows? Like, I'm always someone, like, I'm just always learning and growing, and I'm just open and curious. I stay open and curious. That's my kind of mindset. And so, 5 years from now, it just will be really fascinating to come back to this podcast and see what did we talk about, right? And the tools that will exist, and where we are, from a society standpoint, because I have a lot of concern, from our schools, right? Our schools really need to start preparing our kids, about where we're going, and staying out in front of it, and and the mental health, I hope 5 years from now we're like, mental health is better because of tools like Pi. Pi is a mental health tool, an AI tool, so I just hope to see more good 5 years from now? I know there's a lot of concern because there's duality with any technology, that there's good and bad. And so I'm hoping to see the good aspects, of where we're going. But yeah, your guess is as good as mine of where I'll be in 5 years. But right now, we just got to worry about the foundation and the basics.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I look at my kids and I look at how much more access that they have. And, and I almost think that, not to get primitive, but to try to reduce the amount of technology that they have at such a young age. So I even think that if we can get smarter about the tools that we're using and when we're using the tools, it almost feels like I have a Jekyll and Hyde situation, where I use technology all the time in my everyday life, in my work, et cetera. And it helps to keep me where I need to go. But then when I'm at home, I'm like, nope, turn off the screen. No more phone, no more iPad. The phone is utilitarian. You can literally reach me and dad and mom or grandma and whatever. And that's about it. Yeah. Right. But it's this weird, sort of, line that we straddle and live in. But I do think in order to protect our kids and keep them, of the right mindset and healthy, I definitely pull technology more than I give.
Yeah, and it's so important. We're seeing so much mental health issues, and because we fall into the comparison trap, right? And what we don't understand is all the filters that people are using, and we're only seeing a highlight reel of someone's life. And so the mental health in our, the younger generation is the thing that concerns me. And I'm like, why aren't we teaching that in schools?
Yeah.
Right. How to make sure we're not getting sucked in, and that social media isn't the first thing that we're grabbing. I mean, statistically, there's a huge number of people that before they even get out of bed, grab their phone and scroll social media. And that's their first thought of the day. That scares me.
Yeah.
Because now you've invited the whole world to tell you how your day is going to go, right? When we do that. So I don't, grab my phone when I first wake up, and I don't look at social media, and I stopped the news, years ago.
Preach.
Because I just, I'll live in my little rose-colored glasses.
Yeah. Exactly.
World. So,
exactly.
Yeah,
Start the day a totally different way than that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that, understanding, the technology aspects and, how do we protect ourselves, from that. And it is very interesting times. And just think about the kids that are being born right now. They won't know a life pre-AI. Yeah. That's going to be amazing. Just we knew a life pre-digital and web.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Yeah. So
I know. I think about even my first phone. Mm-hmm. It was the kind where it was in a bag.
Yes.
And it was basically the instruction of it was when I went to college, by the way. College when I got my first phone, and it was one of those things where if you need to use this, you better be on the side of the road.
Yes, emergency only.
Yeah, emergency only. You had to pay per minute. You had no idea about this unlimited business. Mm-hmm. They have no idea.
Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy to me.
I always think about how the heck did we get anywhere? Because we didn't have GPS, right? We had to call a friend and be like, okay, turn right at the tree.
Yes.
Left at the gas station.
Yes. There's a swing on the tree branch that's painted pink. You want to turn there.
I always giggle when I see the little TikTok videos of people, holding the big old, the fold maps that you could never fold back.
Do
you remember triptychs?
Yeah, I was just going to bring up triptychs. Yeah,
and the highlight.
Yes, and it was stapled and together, and that's how you went on your trip.
Yeah. So what'll be crazy is 20 years from now, people will be talking you remember when people would have to log into that ChatGPT website to get their work done? That won't even be a thing. It'll be implanted, and you just speak to whatever.
The Jetsons.
Right. It's totally
the Jetsons. Yeah. I know. Well, so I have thought about this recently. Our kids, summer, they're watching a lot of movies, and we're trying to get them to watch things like The Goonies and
all the classics.
All the classics. Yeah. It was, when Maverick came out, it was okay, do we show them Top Gun or not? Maverick was a little bit easier on you than Top Gun. But it was Back to the Future. Mm-hmm. And so when we watched Back to the Future, and then you watch that series, and the kids are like, what is this? They thought this was the future?
Yes.
And you look at the dates, and it's kind of funny to look at that.
Oh, I thought for sure growing up by 2000 we'd have flying cars. I'm like, where's the flying cars?
Yes. Yeah. The year I graduated from high school, no flying cars, by the way. Still drove Chevy Cavalier or whatever I had. Or, down the highway.
Yeah.
I know. That's so funny. I even think too about my kid's first experience with picking up a phone and pressing and dialing. Actually, Lauren and I were at the pool, and her oldest was, before he had a cell phone, you know, she would be like, hey, I can drop you at the pool, but you have to learn how to use the phone to call me so that I can come pick you up. And she said every time that he would call her, he would hang up the phone immediately. And she was like, I don't know what's happening. Like, we keep getting cut off. So we were at the pool, and I was like, hey, show me, Tyler. I was like, Tyler, show me how to use the phone. How do you call mom when you use the phone? And he went over and he grabbed the phone and he dialed the number, and then he pressed the end button thinking it was like send.
Yeah.
And then he would put it up. He goes, see, it doesn't work.
Oh,
and I was
interesting.
like, buddy, you're pressing end.
Yes.
Like, you're literally dialing and then pressing the receiver. That's a receiver.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I thought it was a send button.
Right.
What?
Yeah, and it's so true, like that they even know phone numbers, right? Because, you know, I used to do that to Max, like growing up, you know, he'd be in the backseat when he was little. I'm like, okay, what's my phone number? Repeat it.
Right, repeat it. Where do we live?
Yes, right, because it's sad because a lot of people, like, you know, kids, they don't know because they know to push a you know, like a button that says mom or dad or, you know, whatever. So
I still remember my original home phone number.
Yes, me too.
Do you too?
I do too.
Hold on. Well, you didn't do 513, but it was 777.
Oh my God.
You could call, I don't think anyone would answer, but like, you can call Carol and John if you want.
Oh,
but
that's funny.
Yeah.
You're going to have to not have that number up.
Exactly. But that was, I mean, that was ingrained in you.
Yeah.
Ingrained in you.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to see you like just shine and do all these amazing things. And I really appreciate you coming onto this podcast.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And it's been fun watching your journey as well. And obviously cheering you on in what you're doing and leading the charge as well. So thank you.
Thank you for listening. If you would like to rediscover your own story, please connect with us at any of the links below. My name is Jessie Heron. Thanks for taking a break with me.